Now, our guest tonight, Mr. Mark Victor Hanson, I've had the privilege of sharing the stage with Mark on 4 different occasions. I've also had the opportunity to connect with Mark on a few occasions. He's endorsed one of my books and will be endorsing my next book. Now, in the area of human potential, no one is better known and more respected than Mark Victor Hanson. And for more than 25 years, Mark has focused solely on developing people and organizations from all walks of life. He assists them to reshape their personal vision of what's possible. And his messages of possibility, opportunity, and action have assisted many people in creating and starting powerful change in organizations and millions of individuals worldwide. And you may know Mark as the chicken soup for the soul guy. Now, that is true, but the last handful of years has seen Mark and his business partner, Jack Canfield, create what Time magazine calls the publishing phenomenon of the decade. With more than 80 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books sold in North America alone and over 100 licensed products in the marketplace, it is one of the most successful publishing franchises in America today. He is also the author of many books that I've had the privilege of owning, The 1 Minute Millionaire. He has a new book in the works, and Cracking the Millionaire Code. It is my privilege to introduce Mr. Mark Victor Hanson. How are you this evening, Mark?
Jeff, I'm honored to be on the call, and I can hear that everybody has a $1 million attitude out there, and I want to help make more millions in their respective businesses, if that's okay with you tonight.
It is quite okay, Mark. You and I had a very spirited conversation tonight. We both got worked up about an event we're both going to be attending later in this year, and I know that you're the millionaire guy. I know that's one of your objectives, is to assist people, over 1 million millionaires in one stadium. What kind of impact could we create with that kind of energy, Mark?
But we're going to create a lot, and for some of you that read all those books that he talked about, thank you for being fans of myself and Jack and Bob Allen, and our new book, Cracking the Millionaire Code, that he talked about, and 1 Minute Millionaire. We're creating 1 million millionaires this decade by 2014, and our goal is to have them all give $1 million back to their church or its equivalent or charity. And if you go to our website, Millionaire Hall of Fame, our students in the last 2 years are up $829 million. This year we'll blow through $1 billion, and our goal by 2014 is to blow through $1 trillion. That's spelled with a T, where each one gives back $1 million. We've had our first person make $1 million in 30 days. That's the shortest any one woman has done in 27 days. And the first people gave $1 million as a husband and wife team. Karen Nelson Bell and her husband Duncan have given away $1 million through one of the things we teach at Charitable Remainder Trust, which is the easy, clean, best way to do it, we think, anyhow. And we think we're going to get 1 million people to do it. We've had the first one, so we've done what no one else ever socially validated, and then it'll be towards solving the problems, because each of us is coded at DNA and RNA to be, as far as we're concerned, enlightened, which means you come from abundance, respectively. Most of us have been taught to come from scarcity. My parents were poor, and they were Danish immigrants and illiterate in their first language and pretty much in their second language, and were into have-notness and lack. And there's no reason for any of us to be in lack if you understand that there's fundamental plenitude in the universe. We've got plenty of oil, we've got plenty of food, we've got plenty of energy, and it's just not distributed well, and there's a lack of consciousness. And that's why telephone calls like this, I feel, are changing the world, and we've got people on from everywhere, and it just is exquisitely exciting to me that if I can do anything, and my candle's lit and yours isn't, I hope you'll light yours and mine. Doesn't take anything from mine. That's the point. But it'll make the world fourfold brighter if we got 2 candles lit and then 4 and then 8, on and on and on. And
Mark, of all the people I've met in my career, you are one of the most exceptional, not just givers, but also receivers. And as you know, giving is something that people are very good at. But why is it that people are challenged with receiving, even though it's intrinsically spiritual?
Challenge? That is a great question that no one has ever asked me, Jeffrey. I'm not sure I've got a perfect answer. Let's see. I think it's because my partner Jack is the dean of self-esteem. I'd have to say it's because our self-esteem, our self-I-amage, how we see ourselves is not willing to receive because we don't have a complete composite, holistic, heuristic picture of ourselves. So we see that it's absolutely okay to be inundated with good. I mean, in every spiritual model, whether it's John 10:10 or whether it's, you're supposed to be abundant, or in the Upanishads, out of abundance he or she takes abundance, still abundance remains, because there's enough air for all of us to breathe, and there's no lack. There's enough water. We're in this exquisite time that for the first time people can be aware that there's enough for everybody, and there's no lack or shortage, except, as I said, of awareness and consciousness that you can go create it. And that's why telephone calls like this will energize people to not only give, but also to find acceptance and receiving. And the other level, I'd say, I've never been asked a question, so I'm struggling here a little bit, and Jim Rohn says a great struggle if you get to teach, and I hope all of you get to teach and choose to share some of the concepts and ideas and strategies and techniques and technologies and tools.
Wait a minute, Mark. The great Mark Victor Hanson struggles, I didn't think that was possible. The guy who said 85 million books sold.
100 million, actually. But
100 million? See, I'm 15 million behind. Your intellectual property, you and your partner, Jack Canfield, $1,136,000,000 intellectual property.
Yeah, plus $100 million in licensing on top of that, which, I'd like all of you to do all those things, because you're not meant to have one source of income. Just like, most of you have heard the cliche, a job means you're just over broke. I want you to have a real MBA, a millionaire's bank account, that is self-replenishing. That's the beautiful thing about the network marketing industry. It is the industry that teaches one of the 38 forms. I teach the other 37, but additionally is it residual income. And by the way, I apologize for the birds in the back, but I'm in our entertainment center, and my daughter is going to become a veterinarian, so she collects and rescues birds, and unfortunately they're deciding to talk to you also. You all know that if you work once and get paid once, that's a job. If you work once and get paid again and again and again, it's a residual income, and network marketing, direct selling is the best way to get endlessly paid, build up a giant downline, hire, sponsor, recruit, train people better than you, which is Jeffrey is the master's taskmaster. And if you use all the technology that he brings to you in these multiplicity of ways, you deserve to have a fortune in your future.
So true. And Mark, you also are really an exceptional mentor, and you and many of your partners, and people that follow your career know that you and Robert Allen are traveling the globe. You're creating all kinds of experiences for people. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your early mentors?
Oh, love to. When I was in school, I was doing pretty well, I guess, academically. I almost failed out when I was first at Southern Illinois University, and I went there for girls and didn't realize that our university was hiring all the guys and ladies and gentlemen that got fired at Harvard, Wharton, Yale, and Stanford for one simple reason: they're 65 years old. And so our school attracted all the best minds literally in the world and had a campus with 64,000 students. And, I was a student leader, and one of the professors of physiology, who I love so much, the dean, this guy Richardson, said, "You got to meet Buckminster Fuller." And I said, "I never heard of him." He says, "Hey, the design department, along with 5,000 other students at a convocation, I went and heard this guy who glowed and had a shimmering aura that emanated out about 3 feet from. Never saw one before or since, but Dr. Fuller had this great, energetic, he's a diminutive guy in height, a Harvard guy, had 2,000 major inventions, wrote 40 books by the time I got online with him. He was 71, I was 21. And he just wowed my soul, and we were working on a concept at that time called World Game. How do you make the world work for 100% of humanity, which is, taking that into this conversation, I say that network marketing is the only way to get 100% of humanity enrolled. And Jeffrey and I were talking earlier, and then he asked me to call somebody in Hawaii that is helping us, and she is training people in Zimbabwe and in southern India, which is where I studied when I was in grad school. And it's very interesting to me that you're taking the people at the lowest of the low, the bottom of the economic heap, people that are making less than $92 per capita a year, getting them in a network marketing company, and they're starting to make money in these countries. Well, what that means is that we can pull up whole economies. And we can end war, as far as I'm concerned. And now I know I'm being totally idealistic, and some of you are going to turn me off, but please don't. Just float with it for a second and understand it. You won't kill your future downline, success line, support line, sponsor line, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I mean about let's make the world work economically for 100% of humanity. Because the more we spend money and circulate it inside operations where you get paid, especially through a downline, multi-level, multi-tiered system, everybody wins, nobody loses, everybody's better off, nobody's worse off. And for the first time, we can energize and actualize total humanity. There's no reason that we should have half the people not have a clean glass of water, drink to just clean water, much less a bite of food to eat, and a shanty to live inside, and kilowatt hours of energy, and an education. Kilowatt hours determine whether you have education. So we do it in kilowatt hours, how much energy goes into your home or property or area, and there's